Homegirl was in there for 15 minutes. She opened me up. She said, yeah, this is out of my scope. You have one of the worst cases of endometriosis I have seen in years. What's up to all my cuties with coochies? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about endometriosis symptoms that I experience, you probably are experiencing, that typically go overlooked. So let's get into it. And I'm going to be using my phone because y'all, I have ADHD. I gotta stay on task or this is going to be an hour long and we don't have time for that. Let me just get started by telling you guys a little background on my story with endometriosis. I was diagnosed with endometriosis in October of 2024 after experiencing symptoms for, I kid you not, 14 years. If you think 14 years is crazy, some women go their entire lives not knowing it. Some women find out within 7 to 8 years. The time ranges of a diagnosis are years. That's ridiculous. And for most women, symptoms start as early as menarche. And if you don't know what menarche is, that is the very first time on flow parts the Red Seas and blood comes and you are now a woman. And that is actually when my symptoms first started. When I was 12 years old, I had my very first menstrual cycle. I remember being so excited because I felt like it was my step, it was my arc, it was the moment. And my mom was so excited too. We have a great relationship. So she took me out to dinner. I'll never forget. We went to TGI Fridays. Y'all, I couldn't eat anything. I was nauseous. I was in so much pain. That was really the start of me relying on NSAIDs, anti-inflammatory medications. That was it at 12 years old. Flash forward to 2024, I'm experiencing endo belly like crazy, or what I thought was just regular bloating until I went and did my own research and realized this might be endo bloating. I had always heard about endometriosis. I knew that I had a history of fibroids in my family, and I took it upon myself to go to Reddit. Literally went to Reddit, joined an endometriosis support group, looked through it, and I went to my OBGYN. I was like, girl, I think we need to check to see if I have endometriosis. I'm having these intermittent pains, bloating, discomfort. I've already had painful periods my whole life. She listens to me and we do a diagnostic surgery. Homegirl was in there for 15 minutes, okay? My mom told me my surgery started at like 12 o'clock on the dot. She was done by 12:15. She opened me up. She said, yeah, this is out of my scope. You have one of the worst cases of endometriosis I have seen in years. Closed me right back up, recommended me to a fertility specialist. And from there is where, in my very first video that hopefully you have watched, if you haven't, go watch it now. That is where y'all see the journey of me getting my excision surgery. So what is endometriosis? Endometriosis is tissue that's similar to uterine lining that can grow anywhere. You can find endometriosis in your lung, your diaphragm, your appendix, your eye, anywhere. That's why it is not just synonymous to your reproductive organs. That is one of the biggest misconceptions, which is why women like me, probably like you, have pain that goes dismissed for years. My surgeon told me if he saw any on my appendix, he would literally just take my appendix out. Same with my gallbladder. People find it on their bowels. I actually think I might have had it overlooked on my bowel, but we'll get into that later. And they can cause inflammation and a plethora of other systemic symptoms that are just debilitating, to say the least. So with that being said, let's really get into some of the overlooked symptoms. We have fatigue. The chronic fatigue that I felt prior to excision is something I had never felt before. As my endometriosis, I think, just worsened as I got older, I was so fatigued to the point where I just felt like I really couldn't do anything, let alone get out of the bed just to start my day. I would wake up tired after having 9-10 hours of sleep. It is a running joke that if I don't get 10 hours of sleep, it's not gonna be a good day. At least 9 to 10 hours of sleep. Like, it's a requirement. Even still, that was one of the very first symptoms that I was just like, what's going on? Am I getting older? You know, like obviously I'm getting older, but am I feeling the oldness? I don't know. Second symptom, which I already mentioned, was the endo belly. And endo belly, bloating, all of that can be related back to IBS. I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say, my doctor told me that I just had IBS. Whole time, you could have IBS, but it also could be endometriosis too. The fact that they want to jump right to IBS or jump right to these you know, other diseases that are very impactful and can wreak havoc on your life, just like endometriosis. It's so frustrating because it just feels like a band-aid. Because even with IBS, it's similar to endo, where it's just like, well, have you tried this? Have you cut out this fruit group? What about this? Like, it's just an ongoing cycle. And quite frankly, I'm sure we're all tired of hearing it. A third and very common symptom of endometriosis, adenomyosis, and PCOS is painful periods. Painful to the point where you have your daily life interrupted. Like I told y'all, I got my first period when I was 12. I couldn't even eat dinner. A 12-year-old not being able to eat dinner means I'm going to school the next day tired, low energy. That's not a good combo. That's 100% impacting my daily life. So anything where you feel like you are unable to do a task that you know you can normally do if you're not on your cycle, that's a red flag, a major red flag. And everyone's pain scales are very different. Pain is not a one size fits all. You can still have all of the other endometriosis symptoms and you might not have a lot of pain on your cycle. And if you don't, how does it go to be favorite? But yeah, those cramps where you are bent over in the fetal position, unable to move, eat, you're throwing up, like that's not fun. It's not. I was prescribed birth control at 15 years old for my heavy, painful periods. Did it help make them less heavy? Yes. But I was still in pain, you guys. I was still experiencing period pain every single month. I was on the pill. I still was popping 1,500 to 2,000 milligrams of ibuprofen every day. That's why we need 1 week off a month, in my opinion. Next, pain in between your cycles. Once I started having those flares, having ovulation pains, I was like, Fifth symptom that is overlooked is painful bathroom usages. I don't know a YouTube friendly way to say this. If you go to the bathroom and when you sit on that toilet and you trying to boo-boo in it, you get that feeling like somebody trying to go against the boo-boo. Booty hole lightning cramps. I hate those. And something that I learned is that they are due to prostaglandins, hormone that helps, emphasis on, it's supposed to help your cycle and help the flow of things. However, it is possible to have too much of a buildup of prostaglandins. So every time I try to go to the bathroom, I know, especially on day 1 or 2, I know I'm gonna be clenching until it passes. Them gonna be the worst 10-15 seconds of my life, but I'm gonna always get through it. So that was one of the dead giveaways for me, that as I was linking all my symptoms together, I was like, okay, I have this one, I have this one, I have this one. And that was one that showed me it might be possible that I have a little bit going on with my bowel. The last symptom that I'm going to mention in this video, because we really could go on for hours. We could, but we don't have hours. Back pain paired with abdominal pain. This was how I was able to tell that I was having what was called endo flares, because I would feel as if I was constipated, try to use the bathroom for nothing to happen. Just an ongoing cycle. It would usually occur after I ate a trigger food. I just was perplexed. I was like, am I not eating enough fiber? I was tracking my fiber intake for years, so I know how to get my fiber in. So if I'm having pain at 8, 9 o'clock at night after I already done boo-boo twice that day, I know I'm having a flare. It's just one of those pains that is just constantly in the background like a paper cut. You're 100% going to feel it. You're going to know when it's happening. Only thing that helps me is an anti-inflammatory and a heating pad. And I have to double up. I have to have a heating pad on my back, a heating pad on my abdomen. It's not fun. It's something that I'm still struggling with even post-op a year later. But the more and more I avoid my trigger foods, the more I'm able to lessen the frequency of the flares. So that is a plus. There are ways to work around it. I'll mention those things in another video. But if you feel like you're struggling with any of these things that I have mentioned throughout this video, I cannot stress the importance of being your biggest advocate. And for me, that started with tracking my cycle. I have been tracking my cycle since I was 15, even while on birth control, even though I really didn't have to. But lo and behold, it actually helped me because I had 5+ years of data that I could go to my doctor with, where I'm logging period pain to show her, well, look, while I was still on birth control, I was still in pain. So don't give me that option. What's the next one? And I just think if you come with all your cards ready to go, if the doctor turns you down or recommends that you try this or you try that, at that point, get a new doctor. When it comes to tracking, some of my favorite tracking apps are Clue. Also have heard great things about Flow, Natural Cycles. However, those three are all ones that record your data. You have to accept the terms and conditions of them telling you, hey, so this data might be used and da 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 da. So another platform, company, tracking tool that I recommend is Sarah, which is through a brand called Your Comma. They are a wonderful startup company who I have been working closely with for the past year, and their tool is actually only available through a web-based platform. They don't have an app in the App Store because if you have an app in the App Store, the Play Store, they basically force you to track your consumers. You can't get out of it, so the only way to avoid this is to have a web-based platform. It is just like a widget that is on your phone, and it's super easy. This is not sponsored, by the way, even though I have worked with them. I do love them. It is just an application that I feel like if you want to protect your data and just enter whatever you want to enter without feeling like somebody is spying on you, because we're already spied on all the time, look into Sarah. With that being said, y'all, please do not settle for having your symptoms dismissed. Advocate for yourself, seek the specialist, seek the community, seek answers. And if you're someone who is currently experiencing any of these symptoms, any other symptoms of endometriosis or PCOS, adenomyosis, I just want you to know that you are seen, you are valued. I fully empathize with the pain, not even just the physical pain, the mental toll that this can take on your life. Whether you have been diagnosed for 5 years, 10 years, or you are seeking a diagnosis, this is definitely a never-ending battle, and I just want to be a safe space. So if you feel like you want to stick around for more endometriosis topics or DIY beauty, lifestyle vlogs, please make sure you subscribe and like this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.